Hey, hey. Welcome everybody to Miss Glow's Kitchen, where there's sugar, spice, and everything nice, where we slice, dice, and entice, using everything we can, from peppers to allspice. What's up, my people? Y'all know what time it is? See y'all in the kitchen. A reverse seared steak with a compound butter is on our menu today. Hey YouTube family, what's up fam? Now guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to show you how easy it is to do a reverse seared steak. Here's a T-bone, ain't that a beauty? Now check that out. Now the special thing about this is, the particular thing about it is it's dry. You want this to be dry, so don't get it out of the package, wash it off and use it. If anything, you want to try to set it like maybe on a rack in the refrigerator and let it dry off a little bit, okay? But if not, pat it dry with a paper towel. It's cool. Now, what you do want to have ready is you want to have a baking sheet ready. Line it if you want to. I line mine with aluminum foil. And you want to put a rack, because this is going to go on a rack. Now, let me tell you something about how easy this is. A reverse seared steak, if you understand what it is in the beginning, is it's going to go in the oven. What it does is, instead of you cooking it on top of the stove like people normally do and put it in the oven, we're going to reverse that process. So it goes in the oven first. After it comes out of the oven, then you're going to sear it on top of the stove. Bam, your steak is ready. That quick, watch. So you can do something else, because the steak is going to stay in the oven like 40 minutes. If you're doing it on medium, like a medium well. So I'm doing it like a medium well. So it's going to be in the oven for like 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, I'm going to take it out no matter what. After 40 minutes, I'm taking it out. I'm going to sear mine and eat it. The reason why I tell you, now if you want to check the temperature on it, you can. But I eat medium well steak, but I also eat medium steak. So if the steak is at medium, I'm good. So 40 minutes ensures that my steak is either medium or it's medium well, which is cool with me. I don't eat well done steak anymore. I used to years ago, but I guess I learned my lesson. I don't eat well done steak. Anyway, let me tell you this. The steak is quick. Now, the only reason why I'm not going to show you ingredients with this steak is because you have to use your own seasonings. You have to use whatever you like on steak. I'll tell you what I put on mine though, which is a seasoned salt, onion powder, garlic powder. I'm going to use rosemary and thyme. And I'm going to use an unseasoned meat tenderizer. So it's really up to you if you want to use that. You want to mix or match those ingredients. You want to add, you want to put some other herbs and spices with yours, you can. Now, the other thing I'm telling you is, I'm going to show you how to make a compound butter to put on top of it. So if you ever go to a steakhouse, you get that big dollop of butter on the top that just melts beautifully all over your steak. Oh, baby. Look like I'm ready to eat. I'm grabbing my like I'm ready to eat, but you know that butter just be melting all over the steak so good. But anyway, I'm about to show you how to make that butter at home. So you know what? Let's get started right now. All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of seasoned salt on it. Now remember, here's what I'm telling you. You wanna season your steak, and when you season your steak, it's going in the oven for 40 minutes. Now, thing about it is, it's a little dry. Remember what I said, because you're getting it out of the refrigerator. And if you're not, then you're patting it dry, because you want it really, really dry. All right, because when you sear it in the pan, you're going to sear it, you're going to use some oil. That oil, you're actually going to use oil and butter. So you're going to watch me do it. You're going to use oil, and you're going to use a couple pats of butter in there. So it's already getting cooked for like 2 minutes in oil and butter. So you can't beat that. You can't beat that with a stick. Now, I'm going to show you really quickly. I'll just put everything I said on there. So really quickly, I'm going to pan down to it for you. And that is what our steak looks like. Now, after this, you want to get your steak put on a pan. And you're going to get it put in the oven for 40 minutes. Watch this. All right, so here we go. Now, this is what you want to do. You want to put it on the pan. Don't oil it. Don't do anything. Put it on that rack. All right? And you want to get it put into the oven for 40 minutes. Or about 40 minutes. How about that? All right. See y'all in 40 minutes. All right, fam. This is what we need to make a compound butter to go on top of that steak. Or whatever you might want to use it for. Sea salt, black pepper, dry parsley, lemon zest, and butter. All right. I'll tell you how much we need as we go along. All right, y'all. Let's do it. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to get your butter mixed up like this. Now, if your butter is too cold, it's not going to do this. And if it's too warm, so I don't know how to explain it, but it needs to be that consistency. It needs to be right in between room temperature and being cold. So it needs to be right in between there to the point where it's cold like this, but yet you can smash it with that fork and stir it up. So that's how we're gonna make this, because we won't have to put you won't have to put it back in the refrigerator. All right, that's a little black pepper. Okay, so I listed the ingredients, but I'm just gonna try to say, normally, if you want more parsley in this, do it. So if you like a lot of parsley, then put about a tablespoonful. I put a heaping teaspoonful. So that's maybe the difference. That's salt. You can do a lot with compound butter. So once you learn how to get your butter smashed up like that in the beginning, you can put almost any ingredients you want in this butter. This is just going to melt all over the steak. All right, so now you want the zest of a lemon. What you want to do here is you don't want to get to the pith of it. You don't want to get to the part of it where it's really white. That part is bitter. So what we want to do is we want to basically skim that yellow peel off the top until we just see some white part of the lemon. But don't zest down into that really, really white part of it, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? Because out of this zest, we're going to get the oils, like the essence of lemon will get it out of this zest. And so that's going to give this dish a really strong lemon flavor. It's going to give this butter. So this is good. So you want to keep turning it, but you do want to pick up your lemon and look at it. And that ensures that you are not going down into, or you're not going too far down into the lemon. So you want to keep turning it little by little, depending on how much zest you decide to use. So that is about a teaspoonful. I'm going to take the rest of it off the back of that because I need every bit of it in this. All right, so this is good. You just want to get it mixed up at this point. So I'm still using like a smashing method to get it the way I want it, because I want to put like a big ball of it, a big dollop of it on top of the steak. So, but you can use this for anything now. You can you can use this for just about anything. So if you want to do, like a chicken breast with a compound butter on the top of it, you can. Just something you want the butter to melt over the dish, and you want to be able to have that flavor in that dish, but mostly, on top of a steak, because you're already getting the steak out, it's already juicy. So this just adds to the extra part of it being juicy. You know what I'm saying? Now what you want to do here, you can use minced garlic out of a jar. I do have fresh garlic here, and what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to smash it with the side of the knife. It's going to make it easier to cut it the way that I want to chop it. So I want to do this into small chops, small pieces, but edible. So you don't want pieces too big because we're not cooking it. So you want this to be as fine as you can get it. So if you want to put it into a food processor or a blender or something, but it's such a small amount, and that's why I didn't want to do that, because I don't want to get it caught in the bottom under the blades, if you know what I'm saying. So I'd rather at this point take the knife and do this. So as you can see, I'm going to keep on. I'll clean off the knife. I'll put this back together. I'll just keep going back and forth over it with the knife until I get it to the point where it will be edible in butter. So that means I want the chop to be very, very small. So it's not even going to be a chop. It's going to be more like a fine dice. So finely diced is what I should have said. All right, so you see how I just keep going back? I got my finger on top of that knife, and I'm working the back of it on that garlic. You see that? So I'm just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, and then I'll get the part that's stuck up on the knife, because you want to make sure you cut that part down too. So you can see I'm getting it cut down, where I want it, but now that's actually small enough right there if you just wanted to mix that in, because then you have those nice pieces of garlic just melting in that butter on top of that steak, and yes. So it's a garlic butter it's a garlic parsley compound butter. That's what it is. It's got a nice flavor too. So if you want to use a compound butter on the top of a baked potato too, you could. It's so good. It's really good, really good, really good. All right, so that's it. I just wanted to show you how to chop it. So if you don't have a little processor or something that you could just throw this in and quickly do it. Then if you have to do it with a knife, I just wanted to show you how you can do that with a knife. And make sure you keep your knife sharpened too. All right, make sure you keep them sharpened. All right, I set that board out of my way. So as soon as I set that board out of my way, I'm back. I'm gonna stir this in. So you see I'm still using that smashing method. So I'm still smashing my ingredients into the butter. Now, if your butter starts to get to the point where it's not like this, where it's not still solidified, then you want to put it back in the refrigerator for a little while, or at least until your steak or your dish that you're going to use it on is ready. So that's it. That's our compound butter. We're going back to the steak now. All right, so now you see I got my pan on the oven. I've got my pan on the stove, I'm sorry. This is what your steak should look like when it comes out. So it should look almost like it was dry aged or something like that. But actually, the inside of your steak is cooked already. It's cooked perfectly. So it should look dry when it comes out like that. Don't put any olive oil or anything in it. And the reason why is because we're going to put it all in this pan and you'll see. So now the pan at first is on high heat. I will reduce this pan to a medium heat. A medium high actually. Because we want this to cook quickly. The steak is already done. What you want to do is you want to sear it as quickly as you can on both sides. But you want to get it with a nice sear on it. So it's got to be a beautiful, beautiful sear. But you don't want to cook it too long on top of the stove because you do not want to dry it out. And you will if you do it. You will overcook it. Because remember, you've already gotten it in the stove to the temperature that you want it to. So at this point, we're not cooking, we're searing. So don't forget that. And what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to lift that pan up, and in that corner down there, we should get, that's why we're using butter and oil. We should get a mixture of that butter and that oil, and what we can do is spoon it over that steak. It will keep that steak moist and juicy. So watch this. We're going to let this get a little hotter, and when this gets a little hotter, we're going to get that steak put in that pan. And what you don't want to do is you do not want to let your butter brown. Don't brown it. Do not brown it. You will see how it will turn as we're searing it in this pan. All right, so we're going to sear it on both sides. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to speed it up, and I'm just going to let you watch the process. At some point during this searing process, you will see me pick the pan up on one side, take that butter and spoon that butter over that steak. All right, now watch this sped up. So you see I'm throwing another piece of butter in there, moving my steak around. Because we want to do this. This process must be quick. So you want that searing, that browning on that steak to happen very, very quickly. I like the fat on my steak. If you don't, remove yours. But also make sure when you're choosing a steak that you get a steak with a lot of marbling in it. So I did forget to say that too. All right, so you see it sizzling, sizzling, baby, sizzling. That's exactly what we want. Now I keep picking it up, looking at the bottom of it so I can see. Now, if you want those grill lines on there, then you're not going to be able to move your steak. You're going to have to leave it there for at least about 5 minutes or so. Now, there you go. So you spoon that oil and butter mixture over the top of your steak. I'm sorry, my camera keeps moving. For some reason, it kept moving down. It's so freaking annoying. All right, so that's good. All right, see that? Now watch that. I'm going to sear a little browner. All right, so I'm going to let it sear. So you let yours go until you get it to the point where it's seared perfectly for you. All right, so now we're going to move on to our onions and mushrooms. So in a couple minutes, I'm going to take this steak out. All right, so I've put my whole mushrooms and my onions on the side of it. Now what happens is I normally say season every step of the way. Don't season right here. This steak has left perfect seasoning in the pan. So we're going to move these onions around. We're going to move these mushrooms around. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, I'm trying to adjust my camera. I'm sorry. It kept moving down like it did. I'm so sorry. I really apologize for that, but I really want you guys to see this. Now, I want you to move around. Move these mushrooms around the pan. All right, because you're getting, remember, you got that butter, that oil in there. Then you have some of the herbs and the spices off the steak that's left in the pan. So you want to make sure, get my onion. I ain't playing. All right, so you want to make sure you move that around and you get that flavor all over the onions and all over the mushrooms. Now, you cook these until you get them to the point where you like them. So if you like your onions really, really done well, you do that. And if you like yours rather on the raw side, then what you want to do is you want to saute them, move them around. You want to get this flavor on them and take them out. Now, as far as the mushrooms, I do apologize that you can't see the mushrooms cooking here, but the mushrooms are basically doing the same thing that the onions are doing. And what it is over there is I'm moving them around and I took them out. So that's how they look when you take them out. See that? Perfect. So now, you move these onions around a little bit, and then you cook these onions as long as you want to cook yours. And then you take them out. But you want to suck up that flavor off the pan first. All right, so I'm going to go now and I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's plated. But before I do that, I want you to see what the other steak looked like that I seared. Look at that. There's a nice sear on that side. It is beautiful. Now let me show you the other steak plated. That is it. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that. Got the compound butter melting on it. You see the onions cooked perfectly. The mushrooms on the side. You can do any other side you want, a baked potato. Anything. Go make this. Let me know how it turns out for you. A reverse seared steak. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time. As always, I appreciate you. Hit that like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.